Hey everybody, Braden here. Welcome back to another tournament game analysis video. I am going to be playing against Larry in this one. I lost my first round, but it was a round I was happy to lose. There was a lot to learn from it. I recommend watching that video if you are interested. And now we're playing against Larry. So, this was an interesting one. Let's get in. I'm playing with the black pieces. E4, C5, knight C3, knight C6. We're going to get a closed Sicilian here. And this game was interesting because I remember being on no sleep when I played it. And I mean absolutely no sleep. I think I had 1 hour of sleep over the past 30 hours when I played this game. And that's kind of the lesson from this one, is that don't play games when you're exhausted. If you're exhausted, just don't play. Just take a bye. But okay, let's get into it. So King H1, this is actually like straight up pretty much theoretical, actually. Like, this has been played before. I did not play the move that was played in that game, which was A6. I played A6 instead. And then we see Rook B1, and this was a little surprising. Rook B1, I think, not really needed at this time, by the way. I think Queen E1, or even Queen E2 makes a little bit more sense. And this looks like a very strange move, because, like, okay, now Knight B4. But Knight B4 is not really useful, because now they play Queen F2, and they have A3 coming. So, funnily enough, in these positions, A3 is a very good move for white. Eventually, there's a game, a Fischer game, that Fischer played with white, where he played A3, and now it's like known theory for these types of closed Sicilians, where A3 generally makes it difficult to make more progress on the queen side. But okay, Rook B1 was played. I played B5 here. E takes D5, E takes D5. I was happy about this exchange because it opens up the E file, it gives me a little bit of play, and also it kind of means F5's not really as easy to make as a break. They should actually play it. Funnily enough, Knight H4 is one of the recommended moves. And then F5 from black, because if we castle, it's still slightly better for black, but they should just sacrifice the pawn here and go into a position like this. They actually end up getting the pawn back anyways because of Knight D5. But this is one of those ways the game can turn out. But generally, I'm happy to play this as black because, of course, white's king is slightly weaker than black's, in exchange for the D3 pawn being there instead of the F7 pawn. But the F7 pawn I prefer over the D3 pawn. And that's kind of the only imbalance here. Okay, that's it so far. Rook E1 was played. This is actually a mistake, because now there's no F5 ideas. Castles. A3. And again, this is normally a good move. I go Bishop B7, which is fine. There are other plans here as well. Let me just like turn on the engine. I like to have the engine on when I make the analysis videos for these now, just because if I'm like trying to explore something during the analysis, I want to make sure that if I'm presenting something to you guys, it's not faulty, and that's important to me. And these games are older in my memory, so I can't give as much more of like a fluent analysis as I once would be able to. Luckily, this is kind of a tangent, my apologies, but I'm recording all of these like over the course of like a week, and then they're going to be coming out like once a week from now on. And then by the time we get into the 2023 games, I will be recording them like the day or like 2 days after the games are played from then on. And the good thing about that is that it'll be really fresh in my memory, and I will have done all the research, and it'll be a lot better in my opinion. And I just wanted to get all these games done and out of the way, just so I can just focus on the new ones, because yeah, that would be great. Okay, so Bishop E7, Knight E2. Here we see D4, and again, I'm just going for my normal central play. That's what you should generally do against like this King's Indian attack or even defense. You go for your central play. We see C3, and I was happy to see this. I took on C3. Actually, by this point, it's winning, because they need to go for F5, and if they don't, then positions like this happen where we have a lot of central play. I go Rook B8, which I was happy with because it just covers the bishop. And also maybe bishop a8 can be played, but most importantly, if they ever played something like c4, a4, it's going to hurt a lot less now. My opponent played bishop e3, attacking c5. I go queen d6 just to defend it. Doesn't hurt. We see queen c2. I go rook f to e8, starting to potentially challenge the e-file with like knight f5. Bishop f2. And now I go knight d8 instead. To open the bishop, also prepare some sort of knight e6 and then knight f5. And my idea is that I don't want my knight on c6. It's actually a hindrance to my bishop, and it would just rather be on e6. We see c4 here, and then knight e6 anyways. And this was actually what I was intending, is I was expecting the move c4, and I had knight e6 prepared in my mind, where now they can't really take. And it looks like they can at first, but then we see bishop takes f3, and then bishop takes g2, and we're winning a piece. So that's why they played rook ed1 here after knight e6. Then I played knight f5 because again they can't really take successfully. They take, and then they played g4 because again they have to worry about issues on the f3 square and taking on g2 after, like this intermezzo move. Here, I had a really strong move that I didn't see. I could just take on f4. Easy to miss, though, in my opinion. And the idea is we just take on f3 after. We can enter a position like this. Totally winning. Totally winning. Rook e2 comes and game over. I didn't see that. I played knight fd4. Again, I want to make it very clear. I had a very little sleep at the time. And that definitely affected the play. So, knight e takes d4. I took on d4, and after bishop takes d4, I actually decided to take with the pawn instead, because if I take with the bishop, maybe they take with the knight, and then of course they get to trade the bishops, and although that felt like it should favor me and I probably should even win that position, I actually wanted to just avoid it because maybe they play like queen takes and like, I don't know. Again, I was tired. Okay. So I take with the c-pawn. Again, there's problems with taking b5. I can take on f3, then on g2. Rook f1. I take on f4. Free pawn. Queen a2. And here, I don't know why I didn't, but I can take on g4. Because my concern here was queen takes f7. But it doesn't matter, actually. Knight e5 check. King g8. Knight takes g4. We don't have to take on g2. We actually can. This position was a little less clear to me. Something like rook e2 or supposedly rook ec8 is very strong with like rook c3 ideas, and then we play on start targeting the a3 pawn. This was not clear to me. So I ended up playing rook e7, which is fine. But now this allows rook takes b5, and all of a sudden I'm thinking I'm a silly goose. But at the same time, I was so tired, I thought bishop takes f3 still worked. Missing that rook takes b8 is check. And now it's equal. Because we just traded dark square bishops. Their king is slightly weaker, but actually now they're getting a lot of activity and initiative with bishop d5. So now I just opt out for trying to immediately equalize. I play queen d8. So if queen d5, we potentially trade. Queen d5 was played, trade. I offered a draw. They didn't want one. But then after bishop e5, a4, and bishop c7, they accepted the draw. Which is strange that they did here instead of before, because arguably here maybe they can push a little bit more, like with like rook c1 or something. But yeah, that's how the game went. We ended up drawing, and it was very unfortunate. I missed like a really silly tactic for no reason, and this kind of told me like, okay, if I'm not in like a good mental spot, I probably shouldn't play the game. So this one also, there's a great lesson involved, which was I need to make sure I'm working on like my eating habits. I'm working on my sleeping habits, definitely, especially this one. And I'm like exercising, just building stamina and making sure that when I'm playing the game and playing in a tournament, especially if I'm these games, by the way, I was driving like 2 hours to play these ones, and I would get there right before the game started, so it's like right after a 2-hour drive too. I better be like ready to play. If I'm spending like, let's say the game lasts 3 hours, 2 hours to get there, 2 hours back, or like maybe an hour back because then traffic was done. But that's like 5-6 hours out of my Thursdays to play these games, which is, that's a lot. So I definitely needed to work on my stamina and my other habits first, just to make sure nothing like this would happen again. But that's going to cover it for this one. I hope you guys did enjoy, and I will see you all in the next game of this event. Have a good one. Bye-bye.